Okay, so we're in Keyshot now. Keyshot is a pretty amazing piece of software which is basically a real-time ray tracing program. So once you rotate your model and when you just let it go, just leave it alone for a sec, it's gonna update the render right in a viewport. So basically you can get the nice clean images straight from viewport. And it's really handy, especially when you're working in design. You want to do some design real fast and with a photorealistic render quality. That's really the way to do it because it's pretty fast. And you get the options and all the settings and toolbars are pretty straightforward. You can just drag and drop an environment from HDR library, tweak the brightness and the gamma a little bit, and your character or whatever it is gonna be in this environment. By the way, it's funny enough, my Photoshop is in a background. Is the second window. And it looks like the Keyshot is a part of Photoshop. No, it's not. It's a standalone program. It just was kind of random. Okay, so I just turned off the environment so I don't see it on the background, and I'm going to material library. And for example, we can take a paints, which is painted metals, and we can create our new material. But materials right now, this is the final material of my character, but I'm gonna show you real quick how you create your own materials. I'm adjusting the gamma and brightness just to get enough proper contrast and brightness when you can see all the details, and it doesn't go too bright, doesn't go too dark. And also you can rotate the HDR map just so you can kind of design the way where you wanted your speculars, design your lighting. Okay, so I just dragged and dropped the material from library. This is how it looks when it's all rendered. And for example, you want to customize, you just right click and edit material, and you get all the settings. So it's a paint, metallic paint, so you can adjust the color of it. For example, you want to have a different base, and you have sort of like a nice gradient from one color to another. You can play with it, and all different material types has different settings. It's all pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Let's say you want material something like that. Even though in the end they picked up a very kind of like dark look. It's all gray and black color. It's still always fun to play with different colors to kind of like make a little bit of look depth on the character. You can also change the texture of the model. So you can just go to texture library, or you can import your own color. And if you just drag and drop in the texture slot, it's gonna update it in a diffuse color. So as you can see, it's already there. So you can play with the intensity of it. Just if you want to make it pop up a little bit more. You can also play with the bump map if you want to add some extra details like scratches or like little damage, or it could be a pattern with some decoration and stuff. We can try to add the bump map just to test it out. You can play with the height of it or scale it down so the whole tiling is gonna be less. And if you let it go for a sec, it will update it. Maybe the height is too big. We can lower up, kind of like lower a little bit. Yeah. Maybe we can add an extra, a different texture. I mean, a different environment to get a different lighting. Enhance the brightness of it a little bit more. Make it really, really bright. this kind of HDR map really helps to a form pop up a lot, because it's basically just a single white spot in the top of the HDR map. And I made this HDR map in Photoshop, just creating a new document and paint a white stripe on top of it, and just save it as a 32-bit format in HDR map. And this is, it's funny enough, it was it takes like a minute to make it, but it was one of the coolest HDR maps I have, because it really helps to read the whole form, really makes it pop up. So this is how the final render looks, and looks pretty good. And I use this approach to all my final renders I did. And once the render are done, you can, once you tested it, you can just render a bigger size of the image. And then when it's done, you just can do some paint or some Photoshop. But we'll get at this later. Let me show you real quick how I did those lights on the side of the head. Might be helpful to know. Let's dim the HDR map a little bit. So now you see it's pretty much the whole light we get for this scene. It's mostly just that lamp. Let it go for a little bit, just so we can see how the final render looks. As you can see, it's updating it real time, and it's adding more details to what we see. The structure of this light is pretty simple. It's just a hemisphere with this thickness I made in XSI, and it stays on top of a couple smaller spheres. And the reason why it provides this distorted light is because I applied some bump map on top of the glass. So that's why it distorts the reflection and distorts how it also distorts the way we see the spheres coming through. Okay, it's almost rendered out. Okay, we can see even more details here. Also, for the lights, you can use a real-time bloom for this kind of stuff to make it pop up even more, or just to make it a little bit more like photographic effect. If you go to real-time and effects and you turn on bloom effect, enable, you can see there's a little like bloom thing going on around the hot spots of the lights. You can control the radius, the intensity of it, make it all look fancy. Yeah, so this is how it looks. If you go to bump map, there's a normal map there, and I use just this black tint, dark gloss with a little bit of bump map going on. Now let's hide the glass, and you can see there's a couple of spheres here, and they have an emissive material, so this is what actually creates the light.